What is going on, my favorite adventurers? Today we are we're 7 miles outside of my hometown. We're actually in Dresden, where my family, my parents and my brothers, they live right in the area. Um, Today we are going to walk and explore the Keuka Outlet Trail, which is probably by far my favorite thing about my hometown, because there is literally so much history in this 7 mile stretch between here and Penyan. Um, I don't even know where to start. I mean, there's so much. There's so much history. Originally, this used to be a railway. It would connect to, well, this is still a main line for train tracks. I mean, there used to be, I think 2 and 3 lines going through here. I mean, it got taken out because it wasn't in much use, after the 70s. And this was abandoned in 1972 due to flooding. And then I believe they ripped the trails out later on in the decades and turned it into what is now known as the Keuka Outlet Trail. But, let me see, I want to do like a brief. The Crooked Lake Canal, which is what this used to be called, it opened in 1833. It included 28 locks between Seneca and Keuka Lakes and opened in the Keuka Lake area to the world. The canal closed in 1877. So, and you'll see the canal isn't as huge or full of water as today, but it used to be tugboats way back, that was carried from Dresden to Penyan. And then, let's see here, the Fallbrook Coal Company, later Fallbrook Railway Company, was built on the towpath between Dresden and Penyan in 1884 to 1885, opening on August 3rd, 1885. And then during the first 30 days of traffic, more than 7,000 passengers were carried between Penyan and Dresden. The line did become a part of the New York Central system in 1899, and then, like I said, it was abandoned after flooding in 1972. So as we walk along this path, we are going to see quite a few remains of the Cascade Mills Falls and the Seneca Mills Falls, and just a bunch of other little foundations and whatnot that are now just what they are, foundations. So, and there will be more signs like this to give us a clue of what used to be here. So we are going to make our way. Yeah, so that's where the canal is. So at one point there used to be a ton of water that could carry tugboats through there. First little hint of ruins. I mean, as we walk through this trail, we're gonna find just a bunch of stuff they kind of just left behind. And judging from one of the pictures I saw up there, it looked like there was 2 lines going down through here. Now, I grew up here. I always figured with how this trail looked, only one ran through here. I mean, what? I could be wrong. Now here's where the track came down, but as you can tell, it curves really down this way and goes around the bridge here. Now, you don't have to be a huge expert to know that That's not how the train track went. This bridge wasn't built until the railway was abandoned, so the track, I would assume, gradually continued, went downward this way. And then, while they were building this, bridge that we have today, they dug all this out and they made the trail go around this way. I believe that's there in memorial for, unfortunately, somebody who was dealing with, from what I hear, mental health issues, drove their car off the side of the bridge, and but that's a nice tribute. I think they were in the service as well. I can't imagine what some of these guys come home with, after seeing whatever they see in warfare. I don't think I ever want to. You can barely see the graffiti "Get out of town," Face and Life is Art. Looks like they tried to paint over it. And here's where the old railway bed begins back up again. I keep stepping on things that almost breaks my ankles. But it went through here, and again, we gotta throw all this out. But yeah, it used to cut right through here. Here we are, one of the old steel little bridges. Yeah, I think this only had enough space for one. I think, the only thing I can think of is two turned into one once it, started going downhill. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because track going this way, track going that way. You need both of them to come this way, ever needed to get to Penn. So, yeah. Now, unlike Split Rock, where we could barely find any remains, there are, in fact, a lot of remains of the old railway throughout here. Mostly just old wooden boards meant for the railway. And again, we're going to see a lot more of these too. Just these little bridges going over canals. I'm not entirely too sure if this was oh yeah, I can see old board. Yep. But yeah, thing I really like about the Keuka outlet is that it's riddled with old remains throughout this entire trail. To think, before they even put a railway through here, this was filled up with a good amount of water. And they, tug boats through here. It's amazing how much has changed in the last 2 centuries. It is a very beautiful walk out through here. And fun fact, a couple years ago when I was in like literally the best shape of my life, I ran this entire trail from Pinyon to Dresden and then all the way back, which is 14 miles. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So it's like one of like the fondest accomplishments I hold of this place. Now, I've been down through here several times. And truth be told, I always thought this was just put in here. I mean, obviously it was, but okay. I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, did it split off and they just took out a rail through here? No, somebody must have designed it, because this is cut up, that's put in. You can barely tell because of the weeds, but even though I grew up here, I'm still discovering things. I'm looking at the width of the bed. It looks like you could fit 2 rails through here, which wouldn't make sense because there were a lot of mills and whatnot up through here. And that back there very well could have been like an old siding point, you know, where the tracks split off, but who knows? I would need like an actual historian to confirm that. I'm surprised how quickly I managed to come upon one of my favorite spots here, even though there's clearly nothing here. There's an old steel bridge. It's completely gutted though. Up that way, we can take a look at it. But basically, it's a ghost town. Hopeton. The village of Hopeton. Stood at the intersection of Hopeton Road, Route 14, Merchant Gristmill on the outlet. Let's see. Yeah. When Dresden began to boom, the village of Hopeton dwindled and finally vanished, almost without a trace. The old cemetery still exists, and you can see the remains of the Iron Pony Truss Bridge over the outlet, which is pretty much down that way. The bridge was built in 1840 and rests on stone abutments. In its day, it carried a town road across the outlet. Let's see, preemption line in 1786. Sugarloaf, once an island in the outlet. Sugarloaf is just west of Hopeton Road, parking area on the south side of the trail. Oh. Sugarloaf, think up there. Cascade Mills Falls. That's up ahead. I don't want to spoil all the history. I mean, this would be like 5 minutes of me just standing here going on and on about the history. But yeah, I've been down here several times because it always interested me. Town of Hopeton just vanished. I mean, dwindled and vanished. I mean, the only thing that's left is this old bridge that we're about to see. Yeah, all this brush was once a bustling town. All that's left is this bridge. The only thing that remains, and it looked like I did climb across this a few years ago. Back in the winter when cold, the water was rushing. Man, the growth really came in over there. You can't even get across it. But yeah, there's like an old remain of like a dirt road, or at least a foundation of one, and foundations of like where houses maybe once stood. And then I think there's a cemetery, an old cemetery just above that ridge over there. But yeah. Might have been wrong. That ridge, that overlook or whatever, looks like it goes up this way. Oh, don't mind me. That was an incline. Oh, you guys already know how I feel about it. But yeah, it's a nice little view up here. See, there's a campfire spot right there. Somebody, oh, let's get that out of the way. Somebody had a fire right here a while ago. This would be nice to take a date up here. I just got back down. Gotta take it easy on my climbing. Just to not upset my feet, because my shoes, well, my feet are still getting accustomed to my new hiking shoes. But now we're gonna carry on. Walking, and I've noticed this before too, but I'm pretty sure that is an old bed as well. We shouldn't be too far down from one of the old mills, but I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact because I've seen it up farther, but I think this is where I used to park cars for the building. Oh yeah, I think we're coming around too. I think I can see it through the woods. Maybe it's my imagination. Because here's where it comes out. I mean, it's all been eroded away, and then there's all this. Old ties and whatnot. Could just be just a random pile of them, but I don't know. Could be a fun little. I mean, it would make sense to put a sideline off the main line because this was obviously very busy back in the day. I just have to show you my disbelief, but there used to be an entire factory sitting there. Oh, man. So, remains, and then this is obviously all caused by flooding. I want to say there's like, I don't know, remains of an old road up there, but oh, bummer. No way. Sit down. Yeah. Completely unrecognizable. I mean, they cleaned it up really well. I'll give them that. But it used to be a whole, whatever was left of a big building here. I mean, down through here, they were tearing out buildings left and right. I don't know whether it was to clean it up or to keep people out of trouble, or safety issue and whatnot, but their railway went right through here, and through those trees right there you could probably went right through here. I mean, obviously everything has been changed, you know, moved around, whatnot, bulldozed. You know, I think this used to be an old air vent, old ladder going down. Oh man, I had a feeling because every year I would come back here and they would rip something out, but
I mean, the place was really, really cool. I mean, I could never figure out a way to get to the tippy top, but this was one big load-in, I would assume. It's actually really nice to be able to walk up here, though. Give it that much. Can't even tell if this was constructed way back when, you know what I mean? Or if it was carved out. I think. I don't know. But yeah. I mean, there's some foundation left right there. This is pretty much all it's it. This is all brand new. This, part of the old building as well. Oh yeah, it went up through here. So from that end, right there, all the way up around in here, they really bulldozed and took it out. But this is all brand spanking new. Yeah. Whew. I mean, all this at one point, bustling factory. But when, you know, from what I remember, I mean, they're building there. There was a garage that used to sit right there. Other side, it looked like what remained of a silo or something. Oh, I'm pretty sure something was here too, but I can't remember. Well, rotting away, of course, but yeah, those are pretty much the only buildings that are left standing. And echoes of what once was. Yeah, literally all of what remains. And then just on the other side of these buildings is where the tracks once used to stand. These were obviously probably loading docks at one point. You can tell probably several tracks, maybe 3 went through here. Bustling Metropolis Old Road, because you had to get down here to your job somehow. But yeah, garage, then an old silo, probably more, just now lost to time. So this is where the train went across and continued, and then this road here crossed the tracks, and that was their enter and exit. I was wondering when we were going to come up upon one. An old railway marker. Westbound that way. We are headed east. We're almost halfway. When we get to Seneca Mills Falls, that's where we'll probably reach the halfway point. The track went straight across right here. This is all not brand new, but it's old or younger than what used to be the trail, whatever. A lot of bombing around here. This is what me and my family called the back way home. Dad and Mom loved taking the back road home with us. We just wanted to get home to do our own thing. Whew. About halfway 3 miles, no problem. I read that at the beginning of the trail back there in Dresden. It mentions how the first settlers that established like all the mills and whatnot, when they first moved here, they drove out the Native Americans. Remember these pictures very well, because that's what we're coming up on. That's a nice boulder. But remember the pictures I just showed you of the mill we're about to go see? Well, this is all that remains. You got old foundation, broken, deteriorated, whatnot, all throughout here. Track used to go right through there. Building presided over here. But the falls, one of the coolest places you could visit around here. Old building once stood right here. Building right there. Old pipes, not blocked off. Ruins. It's all, most of it's all collapsed due to corrosion. But and I'll show you once we get out there. Fresh water smells nice. But used to be a walkway right there. Yeah, this is where the train went. There was a bridge right here. There's a guardrail blocking that off, but this used to be the entry point for the old mill. Old piece of machinery. Once used to help power electricity to town. And yeah, it used to be a walkway across here. And then on the other side, can't really tell because it's all buried, but used to be an old part of the mill that they were saying that caught on fire. Alright. I wonder if they tore it down. I remember the last time I was here, I could have. Wait. I think I barely just see. I think we can just make out remains of a building on the other side. I could be seeing things, but it's all buried in brush. Did tell myself at one point I would try to make it across here so I can look. Can't really tell. I came in when their leaves weren't even on the tree, so you could see it clearly. Okay. taking a break. We're halfway through the trail. I'm gonna have a snack, some water. Probably find a tree to go to the bathroom. I don't know where I could find a tree. Okay, now we're continuing on. This was an old sidling off the main railway, and I'll show you where it can, or where it started. It's down the line, but the only reason I know this is because last time I was here, yeah, I could clearly see old bedding still in there. Can't get in there right now. It's covered with brush. But if you were to go in there and look on the ground, you could see old railway beds still embedded in there. So I assume, bring cars in, put them up, back them up and they load them up, whatever. Or wait, maybe we can. There's an old trail right here. Yeah, right here. Get stabbed. But yeah, it goes. It's all buried under moss. It's all deteriorating. But yeah, old siding. Now where it curves, the siding goes off that way. I think right where those green bushes are, right there, or maybe off through here. You can see old bedding in here, all under moss, coming slowly rotting back into soil. I gotta say, it must have been a nice little ride on the railroad tracks through here. I've noticed coming up after, if you're walking towards town, you'll see just a bunch of piles of old railway ties just throughout here. Some might call it an eyesore, but you know what? I think it just adds. It's slowly deteriorating into dirt, into soil, whatever. Mother Nature doing her job. Plus it makes it clearly known that this was at one time a railway. And to see like almost antiques kind of just sitting here, it's kind of nice to see. Makeshift fence right here. Oh, I see what it is. Penn had a bad flood like 10 years ago. Spent a whole week helping the town clean up. Well, at least this part of the trail up through here, a lot of parts were washed out. So it's kind of nice to see something. Or see somebody be like, yo, don't stand right here. Beautiful spot for a picnic. Bring the family down here. Kids can play in the creek. Echoing back to my childhood. Looks like remnants of an old vehicle. Back in the day, people would dump all their stuff, their garbage and whatnot, down into these gullies, ravines. Guess it was cheaper than having to pay it be taken out, but didn't really do much for the environment. Looks like it's one of the old canal locks. Everything, whatever was left of it on this side has all been washed out. All that remains is just one concrete slab just sitting there, slowly deteriorating. Alright, just down a little bit from another old mill. I don't think it's really on the maps or anything. A lot of deteriorating foundation, big chimney, and then across the water a building. I don't know if they made changes to this one or not. We will see. Remains again of once was that basement right here. Just a bunch of rotting old foundation. This big chimney stack rotting away at the top. Old shed still standing. It's more or less it. And then we'll be able to see once I get around. But a building that's still standing. My lens is dirty. Old machinery and whatnot. Now, for those who really know the area, this highway went this way and connected to the other road just beyond those trees. Why they shut it down is beyond me, but me and my friend once hiked up that. Sure enough, it led us to just a bunch of houses sitting up there where the road was once. Now just sitting here rotting away in the woods. Don't worry, I'm not gonna go far. I'm just gonna go to the bridge. But there's what remains of an old building. Look like power generator room. I mean, the bottom is completely flooded. Well, how do you know that? Wild guess. The runoff through here is absolutely insane. Loose soil, I mean, it's just going to keep going back and back and back over time. This is still like wild to me. There's another thing that fascinates me. It's abandoned old highways or bridges or something. I just love abandoned stuff. Just what once was. Somebody painted and decorated up this old railway marker. This was, in fact, a mill site. You can tell by the car sitting here, there's two tracks. So track went right here, track continued on all the way back in the day. all that remains. This once bustling sawmill. I read, said this was built as a sawmill in 1812, so ran for quite a while. I mean, over a century old, and it was still kicking. Man. Actually, no, I stand corrected. Oh yeah, a century, just over a century. By 1925, the mill was an enormous structure stretching 300 feet along the railroad. It absorbed all the smaller milling operations that preceded it and was being used by the New York Central Electric Corporation as a hydropower substation. 1929, the dam went out. So, like, stopped using water. And then 4 years later, in 1933, following night, the abandoned mill was destroyed by a massive fire. The local paper called it the biggest bonfire of all, and hundreds of areas young people watched the fire from the surrounding hillsides. So, yes, the dam went out. 1929, the dam closed. And then 4 years later, it's all caught on fire. Well, we finally reached the outskirts of town. Seems all these mills are destroyed by a fire. Alright. We're at Fox Mill Site. Foundation you see before you, right over there, is what remains, is the remains of 120 years of milling and manufacturing operations. It's been fully out of operation since 1943, but the earliest mill was built in 1823 by Solomon Weaver and George Shearman. It was first a grist mill used to grind grain, and a sawmill was added shortly afterward. A distillery, a tannery, blacksmith shop, and a plaster mill were developed too. Truth be told, I didn't even know this existed. Just the foundation that remains. Like I said, I walked by this plenty of times. I didn't even know this was even here. Probably where mills or smokestacks used to sit. They had 4 mills. No, 5. No, 6. They have 6 mills. Well, they had 5 going down through here. One of them is still up in operation. That's the Burkett Mills. Whew. That was huge. Runoff from years. The old piece of foundation over there must be from one of the old locks. We're getting close. Century-old train bridge, still in use, although not as much as the golden era of railroad. Up there you can see an old power line. Trains, trains, trains. Phew. They took it out a few years ago, but there was an old train bridge with like one walkway that went across here. I mean, that was rotting away, so I don't blame them for taking it out. And there it is, Bricket Mills. One of the, actually the last mill still standing, or I mean there's mills all throughout Penn, but if we're talking like first established, yeah, last one standing and still going. This is the small town of Penn, full of new buildings, a lot of old buildings. Phew, heck of a walk. Now, again, they took this out quite a few years ago as well. But the train bridge, you know, one track went off this way, and there was an old bridge that went off this way. I mean, there's the old beds, but it was old, crumbling, falling apart. You only really saw fishermen on there, but they finally took that off out of public safety. And here we are, pretty much at the tail end, Pudge's Park, where this adventure ends. I am not walking 7 miles all the way back to my car. Instead, I'm gonna wait right here, and I'm gonna have my mom pick me up when she gets out of work. We're having meatloaf tonight. So until next time.